Andrew touched on this a bit about the freedom. Um, let's talk about like the academics, not only the social life, but also the academic life, and things like that. So first, I'm going to go over to Vedika.
Yeah, for sure. So I think for me, in terms of academics, it's a lot more of a choose your own path. I know like every high school is structured a little bit differently, but in my high school, we were basically given the entire curriculum that we had to study from freshman year to senior year. And there wasn't a lot of flexibility in that aside from like one or two electives. Then you get to college, and all of a sudden, your entire schedule is entirely up to you and your own interests. And so I found that a lot more liberating and a lot more, it gave me a lot of freedom to explore, but it also allowed me to not take a lot of classes and things that I wasn't super interested in. So yeah, I think that the kind of freedom you get is very different.
Great. Let's go to Sagar.
Yeah, thanks, man. I think I agree. I think that one major difference I would say is that in college there's sort of an expectation that you're going to be self-reliant, self-sufficient when it comes to academics. So in high school, I feel like there's, for example, let's say you miss an assignment, all right, or you missed a deadline for an essay, let's say, to be a little more specific. Your English teacher might come up to you and be like, "Hey, what happened?" Right? But if you're in a writing class, or say you're in any class, it's if it's a larger class, more likely than not, no one's gonna ask you like, why didn't you show up to the exam, right? Or something like that. Like, why didn't you submit this homework assignment? So I feel like you sort of have to be on top of things yourself and be maybe a little bit more responsible than you would have to in, say, high school. So I think that's one major difference. And I feel like, you pick up on these things pretty quickly. And freshman year is often what's referred to as a transition year. I know for a lot of people, sometimes I think, you know, yeah, I feel like it's a good time to sort of get adjusted. And your freshman year, you might find that academics seem a little hard, and then as time goes by, you do, sort of develop the study skills you need in order to succeed in succeeding years, in years to come. Yeah.
Great. Let's go over to Andrew.
Thank you, everyone. I want to talk about that thing in high school that happens sometimes where your teachers are like, oh, this would never be acceptable in college. Sometimes teachers in high school say something like that, and they act like college is really different and like much stricter, and you need to get your act together before you go there. And I think most college students would say that those teachers are not entirely correct. Although we should practice like doing our work diligently and being respectful to others all the time, college professors are not stricter uh, than undergrad professors, and they don't really manifest any different expectations of behavior. They're actually less strict. I mean, you can get up and go to the bathroom whenever you want. If you miss class, you can kind of just miss class. That's one thing that they don't do. Some of my classes had attendance in undergrad, and some of them it was obvious, but in some of my larger lectures, they just didn't take attendance. And so you kind of weren't forced to go to class, but you have to make sure you don't miss anything. Um, but the good part about professors not being super strict or scary or overbearing is that I ended up being really close with a lot of my professors in a way that I wasn't even in high school. In high school, I liked a lot of my teachers, but in undergrad, I would go kind of get coffee with my teachers, or I would go to some of their houses and eat meals there. And that would seem really strange in high school for obvious reasons, but in college, I think it's a lot easier to kind of become close with some of your professors. And I would even recommend doing that because then they can write really good letters of recommendation for you and stuff like that.
Going into high school, do you remember like having this one expectation and then it being completely different in college? I'll go to Andrew for this one.
Yeah. So I think when I started college, I thought that the friends that I met during the first month were going to be like my best friends for life, and that's almost never true. The first people you meet in college are not necessarily the friends you're going to have at the end. And it's kind of deceptive because in high school, it's common to like keep some of the same friends that you had for a really long time. But yeah, that was not the case. And I think that in college, you change a lot. Uh, and you change a surprising amount and you kind of find new interests. Like I started hanging out with the earth and environment kids, and I didn't see that for myself when I was in high school. So how you see yourself really changes. And yeah, I don't really have the best answer for this one. So
All right, let's go to Lester.
Thank you, Ben. I would say aspects of college that defied my expectations from high school. I'm gonna go with a more basic one. In high school, you probably have a guidance counselor. I assume almost everyone has at least a guidance counselor. But there is this new office when you start called career services. And at first, career services seems lame, like, oh, they want to help you rewrite your resume, or they have like a table in the cafeteria one day or something like that. But those people are an amazing resource. That office is an amazing resource for recruitment calendars, for opportunities. There are going to be, depending on which school you go to, there may be specific companies that specifically recruit at the university. There are going to be companies that recruit at specific programs. So a term that many of you will likely learn over the next few years is the term target. So some universities are target universities for some employers, some programs are targets. But the Office of Career Services at whatever institution you end up with is going to have a relationship with different employers that you may be interested in getting internships with, in doing special programs with, in meeting with, and also to begin the process of networking. I remember in high school, I did not do a ton of networking. That was kind of something I heard about I read about it in a few books, but I was like, oh, that's cool. But, I don't really do that in high school. There are resources to help you get started. Basically, I would say that the main surprise, I think, coming out of for both undergrad and grad, has been the kind of training, support, and opportunities available through the career services office at the university you go to. I would say that was something I did not expect coming out of high school.
Great. Let's go to Sagar.
Amazing, thank you. I think that there's a wide array of opportunities that are available that I had no idea were going to be available. Similar to career services, including career services, I should say. I didn't know that there would be so many clubs, so many organizations. I didn't know that there would be such a wide range of majors available to choose from. I didn't know that there were so many classes that are maybe just that you can take as an elective. I didn't even know that all those things were there. And, I think it's a good idea to maybe just explore around your university. I think the guidance, the advising offices are always a great place to go to, maybe to, get an idea of what's going on in university. Maybe just do some Google searches and maybe you can find out that certain things are happening and you can get involved. Also, I should note that there's a lot of events and conferences that I wasn't aware of that were going on. There was always some sort of speaker series hosted by some sort of club, some sort of organization on campus that I had no idea about. And if I had known, I would definitely have taken advantage. I just didn't know that these things were going to be available. I just thought that, you go to class, you make some friends. I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe you do an internship, something like that. But there's so many opportunities that are available, so many ways to develop yourself personally, academically, professionally, that I would definitely suggest, taking advantage of if you have the opportunity to do so.
Awesome. Vedika.
Yeah, I think to kind of echo Sagar, the cool thing about college is that because there are so many opportunities, you get to find more your specific interests. So I remember in high school, I was interested in music and business. So I was in a business club and I was in choir. But when you get to college, there's so many opportunities to like kind of niche down on that. So like, what kind of business are you interested in? Are you interested in socially responsible business? Are you interested in leadership and management, which is, like a sector of business where you're studying it from a more theoretical perspective? Are you interested in nonprofit management? Are you interested in music? Are you interested in performing music, in music theory, in musical theater? And like there are classes in literally everything. At Berkeley, we have these things called decals, which are basically student taught classes, and you can only pass them or not pass them. So there's no like letter grades or anything. So it's a very low pressure way to kind of learn about something cool, something you're interested in, and in a less generic way and in a very like hyper specific niche way. Like you could learn about Harry Potter in a very literary sense. Like what is the literary art behind Harry Potter, or what is the art of coffee tasting? Like what does that look like? So I think that the niche opportunities in college were really surprising to me.